final documents management. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Krista Sable, Director of Marketing for Indicom. I'll be your host and facilitator for today's webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment just to relay our disclaimer. Our compliance department likes to make sure we do this. This presentation was prepared for informational or training purposes from reliable sources available at the time it was created. The content presented is not intended to be a legal opinion or an alternative to a full review by legal counsel. The user is responsible to verify any regulatory changes, interpretations, or any legal cases that may impact the information included herein. Okay. Document management is our topic today, and our objectives in today's webinar are managing pipelines and avoiding backlogs with timely receipt of documents, managing agents and settlement performance, assisting with managing compliance and regulations to avoid potential fines, creating an efficient, streamlined process for reoccurring follow-ups with agents and closing companies for documents and tracking, acquiring jurisdiction knowledge with estimated record and return dates and requirements, and using VIEWPOINT as a doc management solution. Before we get started, we'll do a little housekeeping. The audio lines are muted to eliminate any background noise. They were muted as you entered. Make sure your audio line is connected to your online participant name in case you raise your hand and would like to talk on live within the webinar. We can do that. The presentation will last about 25 minutes and the Q&A is approximately 15 minutes. And you can submit your question via the chat feature during the presentation, or you can use the Q&A feature as well and submit there, and we'll answer those questions live. Okay, now I'd like to take a moment to introduce our esteemed speakers for today's webinar. First, we have Linda Bomar. Linda Bomar is Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Indicom. She has 25 years of experience in the mortgage industry with an expertise in team building and communications. A progressive mortgage banking sales and marketing executive, she impacts the visibility and performance of financial institutions through expert orchestration of resources, operations, policies, and protocols. Prior to joining Indicom, Linda was the National Sales Manager for Allregs. Linda has held several positions in the mortgage industry, including wholesale operations, secondary, securitization, and marketing. Linda was also president of Unprimed Securities, a national wholesale mortgage lender. Linda is a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin. I'd like to also introduce Barb Frost. Barb is our Client Engagement Manager for Indicom. She has over 30+ years of experience in mortgage loan servicing and lien release systems. In her current role at Indicom, she exclusively manages relationships with our final documents management and e-recording clients. She has a keen understanding of business priorities and demonstrated expertise in rapidly advancing business goals that drive customer satisfaction, minimize risk, and enhance process flow to optimize efficiencies with cost reduction. Prior to joining Indicom, Barb has spent the last 10 to 15 years in the business analyst area, project management, and as a manager at Aquin Loan Servicing. Thank you very much for you both being here today. And Linda, I'll hand the reins over to you. And Linda, are you with us? Making sure we don't have any technical issues.
Oh, well, I was just going to town on mute. Thank you so much, Krista.
You are welcome.
Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment and let you all know a little bit about Indicom. Indicom has over 25 years of mortgage industry experience. We have over 3,500 employees worldwide. Indicom's approach is unique as it focuses on technology first. Our technology solutions are born out of the work we do in our outsourcing and consulting spaces, and they were developed with extensive feedback from our customers and our internal associates. We're headquartered in New Jersey, and our services include automation, outsourcing, learning, consulting, and software as a service. So there we go. So let's start off the webinar with a poll regarding your company's final doc management. You'll be able to enter your responses in real time in the pop-ups on your screen. So question number 1, does your company currently have a backlog of loans for final docs?
The answers are coming in.
Yeah, here they go. This is not a surprise. It looks like about 77% of the folks on the phone do have a backlog, and that's very common. So we're glad that you joined us today. Let's go to question number 2. Has your company had fines or penalties related to your final docs? Well, good. Most of you have not. 33% of you have. So we're sorry about that, but we're glad for those that haven't. So last question, when does your company start initiating final doc follow-up?
And you can submit those answers through the chat to the panelists, since everybody might have a different answer. Oh, I see 90 days, 45 to 60 days, and I'm not sure. 90 days, 60 days from origination, ASAP.
Well, that's good.
90 days.
We're seeing mostly 90. All right, well, let's move on. And thank y'all for participating in the polls. So let's go on, Krista. Let me minimize some of this stuff off my screen. So today we're going to be speaking about final docs, thank goodness. And if you've been thinking about outsourcing, final docs is a perfect place to start. Final docs include security instruments and title policy. And final doc management is the least disruptive stage of the loan cycle to outsource, and therefore it's the easiest to outsource. There's a low skill set in this space, and there are a lot of repetitive tasks. So if you outsource it, you can take your current associates providing that work and upskill them in more challenging positions and interesting positions, frankly. If you add to the fact that it's a lower cost and you get transparency and management reporting, then it's easy to imagine the value to your company. So if you currently outsource other services, you know, why would you hire Indicom for this space? Well, we're the most experienced. We've been providing final doc management for over a quarter of a century. Our team is very experienced and proactive out of St. Paul. VIEWPOINT, which is the system you'll be seeing today, has an open portal view of your final documents. You get key data capture from your LOS. You have document tracking based on ERD, expected return date. That's a new phrase you're going to be learning today. You get automated communication and logs, performance measurement, doc auditing. And there are other reasons that might drive you to outsource your final docs, and we talked about those a little earlier, like if you have any fines in this area or penalties, or maybe even a backlog of loans. So today we're going to show you how VIEWPOINT will reduce your risk in this space and save your company a lot of dough. Good final doc management is essential to avoiding foreclosure delays, priority of lien issues, uncertified pools, it can be such a pain, repurchase requests, and undetected fraud. We're the space that we're in right now is with the forbearance is eerily similar to the mortgage meltdown we experienced during the recession, and it revealed some of the consequences of inadequate management of final docs. Many servicers lacked proof that they owned the mortgage. Documents were lost. We had a lot of fraud. Title agents even stole title insurance premiums and recording fees, which was a shocker to me. And a lot of documents weren't even recorded. So there are a lot of challengers in this space. One is mitigating risk, measuring your performance, and avoiding fines, of course. And then a lot of lenders have employees that are really trained in this space, and it creates loss mint delays, fines and penalties, and unnecessary other costs, maybe, you know, relating to secondary marketing. So let's solve those challenges. We're going to show you how we can do that. We'll show you how to manage pipelines and avoid backlogs, manage your agents and settlement performance. We can assist with managing your compliance and regulations to avoid these fines that a few of y'all have gotten. We can create an efficient, streamlined process for follow-up with agents and closing companies for docs and tracking. Additionally, you'll even get jurisdiction knowledge with the estimated return dates, which Barbara's going to show you. And all of this when you use ViewPoint as a doc management solution. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Barb Frost, who's our subject matter expert today. Barb sits out of our doc management group in St. Paul, Minnesota, and she's going to do a demo. She is Director of Client Engagement. Barb?
Thanks so much, Linda. I'm excited to show you ViewPoint. I think it's got a lot of great tools with helping you manage your pipeline, and I believe it takes us to the next level with streamlining the process of those reoccurring follow-ups and with agent and closing companies. It provides some great reporting and trending you'll see as I give this demo. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it ensures the final documents are tracked and handled and received expeditiously. However, before I jump in the demo, I just want to make sure that, you know, we hit a few areas about ViewPoint. As Linda kind of hit on, ViewPoint's an open portal of ViewPoint documents, and it captures the key data from the loan origination system. From the funded file. We have built in ViewPoint when to expect the document from the agent or lender based on the knowledge. So we have a group that tracks the jurisdictions on how quickly they record a document and how quickly they return it. So we're not doing unnecessary follow-ups for a county that's going to take 90 days to get that document back. So we have that built in ViewPoint to maximize our follow-ups. And we have a good performance measurement with audit of the documents too. On this slide that Krista has up, and Krista, it's not a full view, so I just wanted to point that out. I think it's a good way to prelude into the demo about the final document solution workflow. So how this works today with our clients is we get a loan funded file. This funded file has 60+ columns. We only require 6 to 8, but we have the opportunity to capture 60 columns at least. Upon receipt of that work file, we then calculate the ERD. As Linda talked about, the ERD is going to be referred to often in this demo, estimated return date. So we calculate the ERD, and that tells us when we need to start following up on the documents if we don't have those. Our follow-up is through 2 different measures. The first measure is email. So as soon as that ERD date is surpassed, we're starting to follow up every 2 weeks with an email, asking them the status of their account. If we still don't have it within 30 days, we pick up the phone and we call them. We discuss what we're looking for, and we get an update. We do that for about 210 days, and it really is based on the client specifications. And at 210 days, we'll give a report to you. We also let you know throughout the process where these loans fall. But after 210 days, we'll talk about other options if you'd like to use additional services, referring to, we can go out to the jurisdiction to see if it's recorded, insurance underwriter, etc. But I'm proud to say through these efforts, we had great success in receiving recorded documents. So the first step we do, we check in the documents in VIEWPOINT. You're going to see that when I do the demo. We image the document. So the document is imaged in VIEWPOINT. We audit the document. So we're looking at the document received and we're making sure it matches the funding information you sent in the funded file. If that passes that audit, we then ship the document to the end destination. We track that tracking number for you also, and we export that document to be sent to that imaging system of your choice. On the next screen, we have a nice little different little diagram of the process flow. So Chris, if you can, there it is. Just showing that process I just talked about the follow-ups and how the audit and document handling is there. So with the information, I think it's a good time to start the demo. This is a demo system, so obviously depending on each client, it may look a little different, but we believe it's going to give you a nice picture. I'm going to go ahead and take the screen, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, there you go.
Let me...
You should be able to do that.
Okay. Can everybody see the VIEWPOINT screen? Are you good? Okay. So again, this is a demo. And what I'm hoping you're going to see when I show you this demo is the ease of maneuvering through the system. Loan level and document level tracking is built within VIEWPOINT, and lender and agent performance tracking, and most importantly, robust reporting. What looks like might take a lot of time to pull this information together and analyze it. We've got it available in VIEWPOINT with just a click. So I'm going to go ahead and get signed in. And we can get started with the demo. Just 1 second. There we go. So in this demo, what I've got displayed here is two different clients. I have ABC Home Loans, and then I have XYZ Bank. As you can see, ABC Loans has one, they capture all of their final documents within one segment. However, XYZ Bank wants you split out by the different channels, a broker, consumer, and correspondent channel. What we can do with that, by having them broken out, we can report that way for just the broker channel or the consumer channel, and or we can report all three. So it really is based on how the client chooses that setup to be. I'm going to go to consumer channel and go ahead into the project view, our first screen here. Okay, so what this screen is, it's kind of like a main screen I look at. It gives a high-level overview for the client. In this case, it's XYZ Bank Consumer Channel. The section on the left is a graph of outstanding documents and their aging. You can switch, so Linda kind of hit on, we knew county ERD and we have the agent ERD follow-up. So as you can see, we can see where we are in the county's expectations in getting these documents to the agents and when we should expect this from the agent. In the middle section is an open summary, which really supports all these documents here. It talks about the loans that's in that channel, the loans that are past ERD along with the percentage. Often we're following up with a security instrument and title policy, so we have the doc volume here, along with those that are past ERD and the percentages, along with the amounts tied to those documents. I talked a little bit in the workflow how we track agent performance, and here's a great example right down here we have the top 10 agents of the 1,361 tied to consumer channel that has the most past ERD. The Red Metro of Texas has 68.15 million past ERD that we're attempting to follow up on and get this document. It also talks about the top 10 agents here that has the largest open volumes. Below, we've got some graphs for a visual of where things are at, percentage of open docs with ERD. As you can see, moving that along, we can see exactly where things are at in January and October, etc. And then we've got the docs open and those docs that are past ERD here. The great tool that I think ViewPoint has is this information can be put into Excel. What you see on the screen can be put into Excel, and it can you can distribute to whoever you need to distribute that to. So you don't have to put it in a graph. We've already got it in a graph for you. The next is a doc flow I'll show you. And this screen gives us a high-level view of documents on where we are in the document. The document's opened and closed with a nice graph. It also gives those document numbers, what's currently open, and shows what those documents are that we are following up on. Again, I can move this. If I want to see a 90-day trend, I sure can do that just with a click, or a 30-day. Again, this also can be moved to Excel. So what you see here, if you want to share this with your leadership or what, you can do that through Excel and it's ready to go for you. The next screen is agents. So as I shared, there were 1,361 agents that was tied to XYZ Bank consumer channel. We've got the options here to filter this. If you don't want to see all these agents and you want to filter it by certain criteria, you sure can do that with this option, the filter option. You can also filter, I want to see all 1,361, or I just want to see 25. You've got those options, and this can be moved to Excel. But Red Metro of Texas obviously has stood out because they are at 82.2% past ERD. So if you're wondering, how do I see what is going on with just that agent, you can click on that. And they got their own screen, similar to the screen I showed you at the very, very start of the demo. This is only Red Metro of Texas pipeline. They have the same nice little graph showing what we're following up on. They have a good summary of exactly where their pipeline is at. They've got agent ranking. They know exactly where they are compared to other agents with XYZ Bank and the documents with an ERD. So they have that ranking also. Below, we've got a similar graph as what I showed you before that they can also look at. This screen that I'm showing you, we can give them access. So it's nice for a client because the agent can monitor their own performance this way. Also, it lists their documents, what's open, and where their volumes sit. Again, to see this Excel button, this can be moved to Excel. So obviously we're still not at loan level. If we wanted to find loan level, we can do it in several different ways. We can click 61 to 75 days and show those 11 loans, or I can drag this and it will give us all the loans that we're following up that is past ERD. There's 40. I can select all 40. I can do that selection. Again, we've got those filters. We can put this to Excel as it is displayed, or we can filter it out and then put it to Excel. So these are the accounts that we're following up on that we can let XYZ Bank know, and or Red Metro Texas if they were logging in the system to see exactly what was happening. I talked about earlier, not only do we follow it as a loan or document, this is how we see that tracking. I'm going to go ahead and select Tammy Rollins. On this screen, this is everything that's from the funding file that's fed over. We also have keeping close contact on jurisdictions. What's going on with them? Are they online? What are various requirements? We continue to update that. We also share that with you then. In this case, we're following up on 2 documents, or we were to follow up on 2 documents, the security instrument and the title policy. security instrument is still open, as you can see here, but the title policy has been closed. In the workflow, I talked about all those steps and how we check it in, how we audit it, image, when we ship it. All of those are tracked right here, as you can see in this section, along with that tracking number. So if there's ever a question as to when we ship that document, we have a tracking number to provide. The images are captured along with the general information about a title policy. If this was closed as a security instrument, we would have that recording information there. Okay, I'm going to run over now to a search function. So let's just say you know that there's an outstanding account that you don't want, you want to search it by that individual account. We can do that, and I'm just going to go ahead and start typing. As you can see, as I type, less information brings a bigger search, more information brings in, closes in that search. Then I'm going to say Jackie Nixon, for instance. It's in Bolingbrook, Illinois. That's the loan in question, or the documents in question. Brings up that same screen I just showed you. We got the data funded file here. We got Will, Illinois, jurisdiction, general knowledge, and we've been following up. And we had a security instrument, and we had a title policy that we obtained the information on. Tracking number showing when we ship that, along with the event history for both of those documents. In this case, we had 6 follow-ups to get this document. We tracked that. This is an example, and if there was a phone call done in this too, that is also tracked. If it was a successful phone call, we left a message or we reached contact, those key components are also tracked in this follow-up event. And as I mentioned before, the images is the recording information is captured for that. Now I'm going to go and show a little bit more in the reporting that we have. I know all of the things that we hit on, I was able to show how we import that information to show trending analysis, etc. But we have some canned reports that we also built that's given to our clients. I'm going to go ahead and just pick All Active Projects and show you that one. So XYZ Bank, for all of the channels, this is a nice little snapshot of what was opened and what's closed. How many are tied to each channel through the consumer, broker, or correspondent channel. The top organizations, obviously, with the highest funding amount outstanding. The open summary really captures, again, those percentages, along with the aging documents, open and closed. So if we wanted to say, here we go, this is part of my monthly reporting, we just put it in Excel, you have everything compiled with just a click. If you only want to look at a 90-day trend, you can do that. Obviously, if you want a 365, a little bit more busy there, but you have that option too. Another report I think that is used a lot by our clients is a monthly completion. So this is a report that shows the monthly completion received in the month. Here we go, we can break it out by channel. Do we want it all projects tied together, or do we want it by a particular channel? And let's just say we want to only see open docs view, and I only want to look at 60 days or less, and I really don't need to see the assignment and other. As you can see how quickly I was able to maneuver and put a report together and put that in Excel, and I've got more reports to distribute for general information. And as I can say, there's several canned reports that's available, and that clients use. If there's an additional report needed, we definitely can build that within VIEWPOINT with the specs identified, and get that available for you. Okay, so that concludes my demo. Again, that was a very high level, but I'm hoping that you were able to see how easy it is to maneuver through the system, and tracking is not only provided at loan, but it is also at document level, and the reporting tools that also comes with this VIEWPOINT application. Okay, well, I'll pass this back to you, Krista or Linda, for to continue on with the webinar.
Sure, Barb, that was a fantastic demo of Viewpoint. Thank you so much for the demo and for your expertise. So to review what we went over today, we have shown you how the most experienced final docs vendor in the mortgage industry can provide your company with that open portal view so you can see your documents. We capture key data from your LOS. The document tracking is based on ERD, estimated return time. We have automated communication and logs and performance measurement and document auditing. And all of this, and we save you time and money too. So it's just a real doc management bonanza.
Fantastic.
Chris?
Thank you so much, Barb and Linda, for your expertise today. And we are heading into the Q&A session. So if you have questions, we will do our best to answer them. If you can put your questions in the chat box and send them to the panelists, or you can use the Q&A feature. And we do have a question in the Q&A feature. Would we be able to track if it was an agency loan, and how many are outstanding for final certifications? Would we be able to track if it was an agency loan?
Yes, we can do that. And as I shared, all the different channels, etc., that is something that we can track also in Viewpoint.
Okay, and the second part of that question is how many are outstanding for final certifications?
That is also through our reporting tool. We can show what's open and closed, so that is also something that's available.
Perfect. Okay, next question. If you have any questions, put those in the chat box. Let's see. Okay, next question. What type of volume do I need to cost justify a service like Viewpoint?
That's a great question. We have small and we have large clients. Typically, the average is about 1,000 per month and a client that we do. But we also have clients that are 250 per month. So there really is no factor on Viewpoint to justify a service. It's obviously, as Linda talked about, there's several risks involved, and obviously those risks are very, very high. So we do it for all volumes, and we make it beneficial because of that with each and every volume that we hit.
Next question. How often can images be exported to lenders or shipped to custodians?
The images are through an automated process, so those are sent within the same night, if not the same night, the next day, and shipped to custodians. What we do is we split it up by an alphabet, per se. The first one day we'll ship the first half of the alphabet to the custodians, and then the second half will be on the next day. So definitely they're getting shipments, at least every week, if not more.
Okay. Here's a good question. If Indicom is doing the lion's share of the work, what type of staff do I need to maintain to support my final docs department and coordinate processes with Indicom?
Yeah, no, that is also a great question. Typically, we'll have the one business person from the client that kind of monitors the pipeline, ask questions and what. Sometimes we'll have two, but really kind of depends on volumes and exceptions, etc. But we always have one from the business side that is needed to kind of support that final doc department.
In regards to compliance, do you work with the different investors for their specific requirements?
No, not per se. When we get these documents, we're obviously working directly with ensuring that we receive these documents and getting them shipped to that end destination. So we're not necessarily working with investors, but we can provide reporting with that investor information.
From contract signing, in what time frame can I expect to go live? So from contract date to full production, what's the time frame?
Yeah, typically, you know, once we get that contract signed, obviously MSA and statement of work, everything's signed. Usually it's going to be 120 to 150 days. Now, in the 30 to 60 days, it's for setup based on, you know, customizations and what. But, you know, we can do that faster. It really is all about, you know, working together with, you know, any technical person that from your side and what. So it is really just dependent upon, you know, how quickly we can, you know, coordinate and work together on that. But a good average is 120 to 150 days.
How are exceptions handled during the review process if something's found to be deficient on the final doc?
Absolutely. So we'll work with the agent vendor to clear those. We'll also report that to you. So they're driven through email, and we work directly with them to clear the exception. In VIEWPOINT, there is an exception on that screen on loan level, which will list what that exception is for the client to see. And then obviously we work with the client and share that with them on our partnership calls.
Okay, and follow-up question, what about exceptions received from investors? Do you request these from the agents also?
I would have to double check on that and verify that. So I'd like to put that was a follow-up item that we can do some further.
We'll follow back up with that answer. Absolutely.
Thanks.
What type of oversight is required from the client's side? Do you need a business resource or a technical resource dedicated to this engagement?
Yeah. So typically, once it's set up, we don't need a technical resource. Although we do find it very beneficial to have that business resource for our partnership meetings, and the meeting can be weekly, or it can be bi-weekly, or it could be monthly. It's just, you know, we want to make sure that we have that opportunity to discuss any questions or concerns, and also talk about the loans that we're following up on. If we're having struggles with a bad email address, or we're getting that pushback. So that business contact is what I would consider a critical component to make sure that we continue to maximize those follow-ups and make sure that we are both on the same page with our expectations.
Okay. Next question. How often are the ERD timelines updated within each county?
We have a team that monitors that, and especially with the COVID-19, those are being adjusted. So I would say that is being looked at weekly and updated as that is identified. So it could be weekly or it could be monthly. It really depends on when those trends are identified.
What types of reports are available, and can we modify them?
So that's another good question. The good thing with VIEWPOINT is it doesn't require a lot of back and forth. I only want to include this, or I need to include this. The reports, we have a lot of capabilities to filter those, to filter them to exactly what we need. So the canned reports have some filtering functions also, as I showed you, by breaking it out by channel. And again, all of the streams that I showed you today are something that can be put into Excel. So if there is a report that's needed, obviously, Indicom would be more than happy to get those specs and bring that on board for something that you can use.
Okay. And next question. So you review the documents received to make sure that all information matches funding docs. What exactly do you check when you receive the documents?
We're looking at the borrower, we're looking at jurisdiction, we're looking at loan amount. So it's the general information that is provided on the data funding file is what we're comparing that to.
All right, next question. Do you have monthly progress calls to review the progress of the relationship? And if you do, who should attend those?
Yes, absolutely. We do have partnership calls. We think those are a critical part of our successful partnerships. We typically have the business person assigned to monitor that final back process. It could be a supervisor, it could be managers that join the call, or an analyst that does that. But we meet monthly, weekly, biweekly, whatever is established by the client. We provide PowerPoints to demonstrate what was completed and what's outstanding. And we have that open dialogue, a conversation. There's usually a senior leadership member through the supervisor or manager level that is tied to the client. And they then run those calls and make sure there's anything that's addressed. Along with myself, I try to join those calls to see if, if there's anything we can do better, or how the process and the flow is working.
And thank you for that answer. And next question is, do you have capability to monitor reports received from our investors?
And could you repeat? I'm sorry, Krista, what was that question?
Do you have capability to monitor reports received from our investors?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We can build that, yes.
Okay. All right, very good. We are just, have just a couple minutes left here. Thank you all for such compelling questions. And thank you, Barb and Linda, for those answers. And I think that was our last question for the day. Okay, good deal. Linda, Barb, do you have any final comments for the day? Any parting words for our guests?
Well, just to everyone, we appreciate your interest, and we appreciate your time, of course, and just want to encourage you all to stay safe, and that's about it.
I would concur with that, Linda, absolutely, and I thank everyone for their time today. If there's any questions after this webinar, we're here to answer any of those questions and get on a call. So please know that we're available and we'd love to talk further with you.
Yes, thank you so much. I will email a copy of the presentation deck and a link to the recording to everyone after the event. Thank you all so much for being here today, and thank you to Linda and Barb for being our speakers. If you do have any questions, you can reply to my email that I'll send out, or you can send your email to marketing@indycom.net, and we will get your question answered. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Krista.
Thank you.